Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to the Next Gen Game Plan, a podcast for future sports leaders. I'm your host, Tyler Darr, and on this podcast, I will be interviewing sports industry professionals to learn about their career paths and what advice they have for those looking to break into sports. Today, we will be joined by Emma Heeger. Emma Heeger is a Los Angeles native who discovered her passion for sports early on. She earned a psychology degree from the University of Arizona and then earned a master's in sport management at Long Beach State. Emma spent 4 years with the TGR Foundation, leading their corporate partnerships and hospitality for the PGA Tour's Los Angeles tournament, the Genesis Invitational. She then focused on sports and entertainment partnerships at BuzzFeed for 3 years. Most recently, she spent the past 9 months on the global partnerships team at 2K, working across the sports titles. Outside of work, Emma is passionate about nature and exploring new places with her friends and family. Emma, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast with me. How are you doing today?
Hi, Tyler. Thank you. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining today and super excited to hear about your journey and what you have to say.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, Emma, let's get this rolling. To start us off, could you tell us about your background and your journey of how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so I would say my journey starts in undergrad at the University of Arizona. So I jumped a little late onto the internship bandwagon. I did my first internship my senior year. It was awesome. I did liaison work with FC Tucson, which is the Premier Development League in Tucson. And I was like, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? I'm about to graduate and I don't have any business classes under me. Like I knew that was the direction that I wanted to go, but I knew that I needed to take some more steps to actually get from point A to point B. So graduated from U of A and found the Long Beach State program, which was great and provided access to internships and basically every sports team in LA. It was incredible. So through there, I did a corporate partnerships internship with the Lakers. And at that point, I was like, all right, I think this is the area I'd like to be in. I like to talk to people. I like partnerships. You get to touch all of the different departments. So I was in the program and I'm like, okay, great. I think I'm going to move forward with partnerships as my first career move if it was up to me. So right at the end of the program, I got, an opportunity to join the Tiger Woods Foundation, now called TGR Foundation. Worked in golf for 4 years. BuzzFeed, now at 2K. So it's cool. Now what I'm doing really blends my first two jobs just between sports and events and digital. So I'm excited to be where I'm at now with 2K.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's cool to see kind of how you found what really called to you, and it kind of gets a blend of everything with partnerships. And even though you kind of maybe started a little late in terms of your college time, you still got to where you wanted to be. So all ended up working out.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust the process sort of thing.
And then, Emma, you've had a lot of previous sports-related job and internship experiences. What did you learn from those roles, and how has it helped you?
Yeah, I'd say relationships. Probably most people will, but just how important they are from, the different intern companies, from people in the grad program, from people down the hall who weren't even involved in what I was doing. Trying to make friends everywhere I go because the world is just so unbelievably small, especially in LA. Everyone knows each other. Yeah, I knew that I needed to just really lean into the social side, and I very much enjoy that. So it came naturally, which I felt very grateful for. And then also, in terms of physical or tangible learnings, I've really perfected the personal tracker, presentation, working with legal, all things that you do on the sports business side. I have definitely learned a lot in those atmospheres. Yeah, just grateful that I got to experience all of that. And like I said, now go from live events to digital media to gaming and see the through line there, but everything still stay the same in terms of partnerships and how you operate.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as you kind of build those experiences, you kind of add those skills that you'll need throughout your career. But kind of like you said, that one constant that everyone always brings up is the networking. It's super important to build those relationships, and sports is such a people-oriented industry too. So you love to talk with others, it's definitely a good way to go. And then based on your experiences, what are some ways that college students can set themselves up for a career in sports?
Start early from someone who didn't. But I know, people change careers at so many different points of their life. So that's just my story. But yeah, start early, do the unpaid stuff, volunteer. Things don't need to be internships. They can develop into them. But I did my fair share in volunteering for marathons and local events and, the YMCA, where you just get to meet a whole bunch of people. And I think that's so important. And that also teaches you what you like, what you don't like, what you think you could see yourself doing. It's all about just like narrowing that look into, okay, this is a realistic journey for me. I want to go down this path and I think I'd be good at it. So the way to get there is with starting early, starting internships, trying to volunteer, informational interviews, which I still do as if I can, a lot of that, like I'm in a middle management role, but will forever be keeping up relationships and putting that effort in because I know it pays off in the long run.
100%. Yeah, I think the volunteering is especially important, just having that open-mindedness. You never know what's going to come about, and you never know what you'll discover that you enjoy just by trying new things. And we're all learning, no matter what stage of our career we're at. So just keeping that open mind is definitely important.
Absolutely.
And what specific skills do you believe are important for people to have to be successful in the sports industry?
Yeah, I mean, I touched a lot on like people skills. That is definitely huge for a sales partnership role or world. However, I think in general, just understanding business. In undergrad, I didn't take a business class. I went more of the like theater, physiology, ended at psychology route, and needed to learn just basic business and how companies operate. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily a skill, but something that like an understanding that needs to happen before jumping in. In terms of like actual skills, it's kind of like the classic Microsoft suite where you want to know Google Slides, Google Sheets, you want to know how to be organized, collaborate in these different digital spaces with a team, by yourself, like learning how to get organized. And also to, what's interesting, and this is obviously controversial, but ChatGPT, I think leaning into that and seeing how ChatGPT can help us just be better, not do our work, not write things for us, but help us be more efficient. That is a new tool for everyone. I'm sure you're very much in that world. But for me, I'm like, okay, I'm in a job. I'm not in school. This is a unique tool. So something to take advantage of and just only use for being better.
Absolutely. I think, the organization skills, like you said, are super important. It just allows you to kind of stay on top of your work. And, whether it's with Microsoft Office or Google Docs or whatever it is, it allows you to just stay on top of your work. And especially in such a fast-paced environment for sports, it's very important to be on top of your stuff and know where everything is. And then, like you said, ChatGPT AI like that, it's definitely a new tool. And like you said, you don't want it to just do your work for you or just like be, doing your job, but it can definitely speed the process up, and finding ways to maximize that is definitely something that people can kind of get a little bit more familiar with.
Yeah, such a different world.
And then looking at your education, you're able to get your Master of Arts in Sports Management from Long Beach State, and you were able to work as a graduate assistant while you were there. What was that experience like for you? And do you recommend pursuing higher education when trying to break into the sports industry?
So yeah, great question. The grad assistant role was awesome for me. I very much enjoyed being part of the program in like a deeper way for those 18 months. The reason that I chose to get, more education after my undergrad is because I really didn't feel like I was set up well enough from my own choices in undergrad, thinking I was going down like a sports psychology route until I worked in sport, events, interning. So I knew that in order to be successful, I needed to be a better candidate. So I chose to do a local program. I'm from, Southern California. So it was a very easy adjustment for me while I was getting into post grad life and now into that new program. But Yeah, the grad assistant role itself was incredible because I really got to build, again, relationships, but not only with my classmates, but like with the school itself, with the leaders of the program, the adjunct professors who are like now my peers, and I work with them and collaborate with them for different reasons. Yeah, it really gave me such a unique opportunity to interact with everyone that truly only the grad assistant got. Like, you can make the effort and really just get to know everyone in the program, but being a grad assistant and knowing what I was able to know and just like being in that conversation was so helpful. So yeah, I would say a degree after undergrad, an undergrad program is definitely helpful, especially like, my experience was in Arizona. So I didn't have anything on my resume in LA, which is where I wanted to get a job. Granted, employers know this, like they know where that student aged person is at. Like they're not expecting a whole laundry list of experiences. But yeah, I would say if there's any reason a student feels like they're lacking, in experience, in knowledge, it's so helpful. But I also understand like there's huge financial implications. It's not cheap. So there are other ways to get around that. There's a lot of virtual programs. There's just a lot more resources now, I think. And I was fortunate to be able to take advantage of that program. It depends on the person's situation, but I really, really benefited from it.
For sure. That's great to hear that it benefited you. And it sounds like, to get the experience as well as the education that you might not have had previously was really beneficial for you in your career. And yeah, like you said, it can be, depending on where you're at, it might be better for you, might not be, it might be too expensive, the location, it just depends. But the good thing is that it's out there as an option. And like you said, with sports becoming such a big thing nowadays, like so many people are trying to break in, there's a lot more resources. So people have choices, but it's great to hear how it benefited you.
Yeah, there's so much competition now too. I felt like I had a lot of competition, but as we progress in society and just with media and everything else out there, like it's extremely competitive, like even more competitive now. So
Yeah, it's definitely something to be aware of. Like if you put yourself out there, you can definitely break in, but you're going against everyone now with how everyone's so connected across the country, across the world. So
yeah.
definitely something to be aware of. And then you kind of touched on this earlier, but you've taken a lot of time to volunteer with a variety of different organizations. How has that helped you, and why do you believe it is important?
When it comes to volunteering, I think there's two sides. A little bit of it is selfish. You want to go and you want to meet people and like network and learn about a business and all that. You want to leave a good impression, but also too, like volunteering, it is a feel good thing. And I very much enjoy it just in all realms, but it levels everyone out. Like there's no coordinator volunteer. There's no like senior manager volunteer. You're volunteering with all different types of people, experience, ages. I think it's a very unique opportunity because everyone's there out of, for the most part, the goodness of their heart and to get experience and to whatever else. Yeah, it's great for the career, but also people wise, like life wise. You get to learn lessons from people you probably would have never interacted with, which to me is so interesting and fun. So yeah, huge proponent of that, whether it's in the sports industry or not. You see all types of people and you just never know like where that hello or little conversation could go.
Definitely. Yeah, I think kind of like you said, obviously you're trying to, build yourself, make those connections, and then you're trying to help out, a different organization, whether that's in the sports industry or just in the community. It's very beneficial for both sides, but kind of like you said, the people aspect, it's a really cool perspective to look at it from, getting to work with all these different people who are all coming together for the same goal and could be in a variety of different spots. You wouldn't have gotten to meet with them if you hadn't done that. So I think that's a really cool way to look at it, and definitely one of the big benefits of doing volunteer work.
Right. And another thing to add just that I thought of is, I used to work in golf and run these huge tournaments. There are thousands of volunteers at these golf tournaments. Like these events would not happen without these volunteers. So no role is too small. And it's so cool how much trust is put into volunteers, because at the end of the day, it wouldn't be what it is or what we want it to be without the thousands of people who give the time.
Yeah, no, 100%. Everyone's coming together and, no matter how big or small, to make something that big with a group of people is really cool. And now looking at your time with 2K, what are some of the responsibilities of your role and what does a typical day in your job look like for you?
Yeah. So I've been with 2K for 9 months now, 8 or 9 months, and I'm on the global partnerships team. I have the exciting opportunity to work on our sports titles. So we're the most well known for NBA 2K, been around for 20 years. So I get to work on NBA 2K, which is like my Super Bowl game. I spend a lot of time on it. And then I also get to work across WWE 2K and PGA Tour 2K. So it's really fun because, I have this golf background and like golf brain. It just works because I spent so much time in it. And then like with my little bit of time working with the Lakers and just in general, like loving basketball and that being the biggest title, that has been super fun. And then there's WWE, which is a total newbie for me, but very exciting, interesting, and just like it's different. It's so different. So what I do is I work to bring in brands into the game. So like for NBA, for example, you'll see a lot of like in-arena signage or things that you would see in real life translated into the game. So those ones are a little bit of a lower lift, just knowing like, it's a little more turnkey. But then there's like fun custom executions that can be done that obviously aren't done in real life. Custom events in the game sponsored by X brand. So it's really cool to be on the line of like trying to replicate real life to just to like continue the authenticity of the video game, but then also get creative too and align with a certain brand's goals and sometimes build it from the ground up with a fully custom idea. So yeah, I never thought I would be in this space. I thought it would be too technical for me. It's not. I mean, I learned a lot at BuzzFeed and the whole digital media world, and that has actually helped me a lot in this role as well. I don't do any of the tech stuff, but it's been such a really unique opportunity. And yeah, I'm just coming up on a year, so a lot more to learn still. I'm still learning every single day, but bringing sponsors in game is what I do. And then a typical day, I would say I'm mostly working with brands who are already in game, as opposed to like, of course, we're pitching and we're actively selling, but it takes a lot to manage and fully like ensure you're executing all parts of the agreement, especially for NBA. So I'd say I spend a lot of time talking with the different brands, sending things for approval, going through different proposals, and then, a lot of on the other side is like that cold outreach, new opportunities, fun stuff like that. So of course it changes every day, but it's very exciting and I am not bored.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're not bored and you're enjoying it. It sounds like a really fun role. It's really cool to see because I know as I've learned a lot more about sports, like there's so many sponsorships, partnerships, especially like during the games. And you're almost doing that, but like on a virtual level, which is just so interesting to me. That's really cool to see how you're both, reaching out to new people, establishing those relationships, and then being able to kind of do what you want with it in a creative sense, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
And then kind of building on that, what has been similar and different about working for a video game publisher compared to like other organizations in the sports industry you've worked for?
In general, working cross-functionally between like internal teams, external clients, brands, that has been a constant through all my roles. That stays the same. We're just talking about different things. I was talking about golf. I was talking about, website or social media branded opportunities. And now I'm talking about video games. A lot of that stays the same, which is great and is a lot of the reason why people who are hiring can like trust, okay, you didn't work in gaming, but you've done a lot of other things in partnership. So like you get it, but like we'll teach you the gaming stuff sort of thing. In terms of what is different, of course, the product, I think when it comes to like looking at my experience in golf and working on basically one big golf tournament a year, those timelines were so different because you're leading up to 1 week every single year. So the 4 months leading up are just chaos. They're super fun, but it's a total different work life compared to what BuzzFeed and 2K are now for me, where I guess I would call it rolling launches. We have game launches and everything, but we work on multiple per year, depending on the year. I get a little more experience across different brands and titles, whereas in the past, I was just focused on like that 1 week. In general, like the video game world is very new for me, and it's been super fun to learn. I've been hooping. I've been playing. I've been trying in these video games. No one will play against me because I'm not great, but it's just about like understanding the game as it is. The video game world is just so, I knew it was going to be technical, of course, but I just truly couldn't even comprehend now, like knowing what I know now, than from when I was applying and thinking like, okay, yeah, video games, it's digital, but it's not like you can flip a switch on and off if something's wrong. Like there's so much custom development work that is impressive and so difficult beyond belief that I had no idea until I started working, on the gaming side. I guess the last difference too is just the global footprint of where I'm at now. I think it's got the most global reach of all the jobs I've been at, which is super cool. 2K has offices all over the place, and so many different types of people in different countries are playing these sports video games. Like you just feel so small when you think about how big the reach is. And at the end of the day, it's just so impressive. Yeah, those are some similarities and some differences, I would say.
Yeah. The technical aspect, like you said, that's definitely a difference. And it's obviously not the same idea, but it's cool to see how there's some overlap there too. And then, like you said, the reach of a video game, it's going to people all over the world. That's a really cool impact to have. And then we've kind of talked about it, but working in sports can be challenging for sure. How do you handle adversity, and what are some ways you look to find a work-life balance?
I love a work-life balance. I need a work-life balance. I think everyone does, but in my opinion, I think I do a pretty good job of it. I think everyone who I've worked with knows that I take my time off because I think it's very important. I would say just, for how to handle adversity, I love meditating. I love crystals. I love yoga. I love that whole world. And being in that world has really helped me just center myself if I need to and find the calm. Because if you can't find the calm, most times you're not going to accomplish what you want to, whether it's within yourself or someone else at an event. I've really, really worked hard to just find the calm and focus in the times of chaos, because there are many, of course. Yeah, in terms of work-life balance, I definitely take a lot of time off with vacations, with me time, with family time. And I also, I'm part of a group called Women in Sports and Events, Los Angeles, WISE LA. I've been part of WISE LA for 10 years. I've been on the board for 5. And that is kind of in the middle of, it's mostly fun, don't get me wrong, but it's in the middle of work and play. It's not a full-blown vacation, the work that I do for WISE, but it's a volunteer job at the end of the day. And that is another way that I'm really able to have some balance and not just work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Because I could find stuff to do for 12 hours every single day, sitting at my desk for my corporate job. It really pushes me to reach and do different things, get out of my comfort zone to be part of an external volunteer organization, but that also lives in the world that I live in as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's great. Having those things like meditation, like you said, just those certain hobbies or things that you enjoy doing that allow you to kind of just take your mind off of the work side of things, I think is super important. And it doesn't have to be meditation, but obviously that's a good one that a lot of people like. Just having those things that you can call towards. And then being in a group like that, I think that's really cool. It kind of gives you people to relate to, connect with, and just take your work to another area, if that makes sense. So I think that's a really good way to balance work life for sure, especially in a busy industry like sports.
Right. And that works for me, might not work for others, but it's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And then to wrap things up here, if you could give one piece of advice to someone looking to break into the sports industry, what would it be?
It has to do with people, it has to do with relationships. So my one piece of advice would be to find whatever that is. Is it a network like Wise LA is for me? Is it a mentor? Is it a friend? Whoever it is, finding someone or something to champion you is so important, because you could just get down in the dumps. It's so competitive, which we talked about. So having someone or something to have your back through this path is so important. And, whether that thing keeps you in the sports world or not, people are there to support each other. And I think it's important to find whoever that is, because it could be life-changing.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And on a lot of times, people are like networking or developing certain skills and stuff, but like it is true with how competitive it is and how easy it is to kind of feel deterred just because you're going to get a lot of rejections throughout the process. You have to have people you can connect with and push you forward, rely on and work together with. I totally agree with what you're saying. Being able to work with others, it's super important. And just having those people that you can go to when you need some help. Well, everyone, that will do it for this episode. Today, we were joined by Emma Heeger, the Global Partnerships Manager for 2K. Emma, thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you, Tyler. I forgot to say, bear down.
I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this episode. I hope you found it interesting and ultimately took something away that will help you in the next steps of your journey. And with that, we will see you next time on the Next Gen Game Plan, a podcast for future sports leaders.